Hello lovers, welcome to the Butterfly Effect podcast hosted by myself, Lauren Amy. This is for those who are ready to take up space, who are living a soft life loudly and are ready to savor the sweetness in each moment. Here we're going to embrace transformation, the beauty of the in-between and the magic of becoming. So pull up a seat and listen in because life is delicious and it's about goddamn time we eat it up. Hello, my stunners, my queens. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are we all doing? Welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast. What an intro that was, hey? Okay, we've got some good energy this week. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm feeling so good. I'm just feeling so content, so happy, so joyous. Honestly, I've had so many breakthroughs this past week that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to share. But obviously, it's in the past couple of weeks, there's been a lot. There's been a bit of turbulence that kind of like threw me off a little bit. But now I'm just feeling so much more grounded and it just feels like it all happened for a reason. And I feel like I'm in like the best place I've been like this year so far. You know, I'm in the best place this year so far. So let's discuss what's been going on in the past week. I needed a little bit of a reset this weekend, I feel. Like last week I was coming down from the feminine rage, which was really spurring me forwards. As I say, feminine rage is a fantastic motivator. I was able to achieve lots. I was able to move through a lot of emotion, a lot of thought processes that needed to happen. And I felt like as it got to the weekend, I needed a little bit of a reset. And there's a few things that was really helping me move through this stickiness to do with the crash out from my ex-situationship. And I was in two minds, like, do I want to keep speaking about this? Because really, like, he's not worth talking about. But I think there's parts of it that are definitely worth talking about in terms of like dealing with dismissive avoidance and, you know, reclaiming that sense of self after moving through this situation. So yeah, I'm going to continue speaking about it a little bit more, but obviously the feminine rage has simmered and now we've got into the processing stage and again, just living life again stage, which just feels fucking phenomenal. So yes, it was coming up to this weekend, and one of the phrases that I kept repeating to myself that has been really helping me get through is simply the phrase, it does not matter. It does not matter. And then allowing myself to shift the focus to the things that do matter. So I was able to take a real step back and look at the things that was coming up this week. And I had my friend's 30th over the weekend. I was going to be seeing my longest best friends. Like, we've been friends for 12 years, but my friend who was turning 30, I've known her since I was like 2 years old. So yeah, my absolute ride or dies, right? Seeing them at the weekend, that is what matters. That was the thing that was going to allow me to reset, to chat to my girls, have a bit of fun, have a bit of a giggle, catch up on our lives. And I just really needed that weekend. Obviously, in approach to this weekend, however, there was still a few things that were happening through this fallout. And I just found myself, I kept saying to myself, you know, this does not matter. Like in a week's time, in a few weeks' time, in a month's time, in a year's time, am I still going to be thinking about this? Am I still going to be worrying about the things that have gone down the past few weeks or the past year that I've known this boy? No. And the reason I know that, the concrete evidence I have and that I know that this is going to be the case is because I was in a relationship for 8 years, right? 8 years I spent with one person, knowing everything there is to know about this person. Also, I thought towards the end, but that's another story. But I knew their whereabouts, I knew their coming and going, I knew all there is that I needed to know. But I look back on that relationship now, and there's so many details that I just don't remember. There's so many aspects of that relationship that I have not carried with me into this new life that I've created for myself. And again, it's just really reminded me that, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, you were in a long-term relationship. Yes, that was perhaps a big part of your life then, but it's not now. It doesn't matter. And I was talking to these girlfriends of mine, and I was able to catch up with one of them. And I think the last time we were all together was, I think, about 2 years ago, maybe even more. And one of my friends mentioned, oh yeah, your ex was there. Like another friend, her ex was there. And I was like, what? Why do I not remember this? I cannot remember this at all. And I was like, oh, it's because I was with my ex. I just don't remember like these little details that at the time seemed so important, seemed to really matter. But actually, in the grand scheme of things, they don't. So that's been a massive help this week in really reframing what does matter, what does not matter. And I think the Calm Collective that I taught on Friday as well, which I think is probably one of my favourite Calm Collective evenings so far. I went in on the theme of forgiveness, and the yogis that were there as well have also said that they really needed to hear those words. Like the afternoon beforehand, I was scribbling so much. I was writing down so many notes, and I wasn't even having to think. It was like the pen was just moving across the page. The fingertips were just moving across the keys, and the words were just pouring out of me. And it's just like this real driving home that, you know, you can choose to let go of these things that don't matter. You can choose to let go of what doesn't serve, what once was, what was never meant to be. And in that letting go, you are going to be creating so much more space for the things that do serve and the things that are meant to be, you know, and for the things that do matter, the memories, the moments, the magic that do matter. And this is, again, another reason why I think yoga teaching could not align with me more. Like, I feel like, again, I'm in the right profession for me, because it's healing for me, it is healing for others. I'm so grateful for this life, honestly. So thankful that I have the tools to move through these sticky patches, but then also share that with others as well. Oh my goodness. And so then, yes, this weekend allowed me to have a beautiful reset. Took myself on a solo day. I don't know the last time I took myself on a solo adventure outside of this town. I take myself on little dates here and there. Like you guys know, I do a lot of paddleboarding. I love my paddleboarding. I go on little coffee dates, but they are almost part of my norm now. So again, it's like you have to continuously find new things. And I often think, actually, this is still very much the case in relationships. You know, at the beginning of a relationship where you go on dates with one another and it's all exciting, it's constantly fresh because you're constantly learning, you're constantly doing new things with one another. It's the same when you're dating yourself. It's like paddleboarding has become the norm. Solo coffee dates has become the norm. Okay, what else can I do to date myself, to show myself the love that I am worthy of? So taking myself into London this weekend, which I was going to be in London anyway, again for my friend's 30th. It's like, okay, whilst I'm here, what's on? What can I do? And someone happened to mention Chelsea in Bloom, and I was just like, that is so up my street. I was listening to a Bridgerton audiobook, and I was just frolicking down Sloane Square, looking at all these gorgeous floral displays. I felt like I was going for a lovely little promenade, like I'm in Bridgerton. I was having a great time. I was taking all these cute little pics, these videos, because again, it does not matter. The people around me that are seeing me take these videos and photos of myself, they do not matter. Like, I know some people get really shy about taking selfies and taking content in public, but again, the people around you, you're never going to really see them again. So what does it matter? Like, it was a moment where I can embrace this silly little life of mine, where I can go do these silly little things and just frolic and live this whimsical life. And I just feel all the better for it. I just feel like that was that uplift that I needed. And then I saw my friends in the evening for my friend's 30th, which was just so stunning. We all got all dressed up. I wore full makeup for the first time in I don't know how long. And it was just, again, it was a nice opportunity to just break the mold, break through that norm that I'd kind of settled into. And then what followed from this weekend with my friends is that I drove back from London. I was meant to be staying that evening, but that wasn't working out. That wasn't aligning. And I'll get onto that in a moment. But I ended up driving back from London got home at like 1 a.m. and obviously because I was driving, I didn't drink. So I got home at 1 a.m., had a shower, put a load of washing on. And then I had class covered the next morning. So I was able to wake up and I was like, okay, we've had this reset. Now let's get our shit together. And having that day was so needed, because I do think sometimes you kind of got to let things burn to the ground and then you've got to build yourself back up again. I think that feminine rage, that fire, burnt things to the ground, and then I was like, okay, now we rebuild, and we rebuild better, stronger foundations. Literally on Sunday, I took myself to Sainsbury's and did a food shop for the first time in at least a month. I'm not even kidding. I told this to a friend the other day and they were like, what have you been surviving off of? And I was like, don't know, mate. I think I've just been living off toast and trauma. Genuinely, I think it's just toast and trauma has been getting me through. But I did this food shop and I probably spent the most money I've ever done on a food shop. I live on my own, right? I don't need much to survive and thrive. But yes, I spent 3 digits in this food shop. Granted, I did treat myself to a pair of shoes because, you know, she's worth it. But yeah, it was a real day to get my shit together. Then was finally able to sit down and just really savor this clear space, this clear headspace, and then just take a breath. Take the biggest breath I've had in weeks. And actually, this is something I said to my PT on Friday. She asked me, you know, like, how are you doing? How are you doing? I was like, mate, I feel like oxygen is just hitting different right now. I feel like I can finally take this big breath in where I'm no longer constantly regulating someone else's emotions. My emotions are the ones that matter the most to me. And with that, I can just take a breath, do what's needed to, again, not only survive, but thrive. Oh, and it just feels like, again, this homecoming. Just beautiful stuff. And then, yeah, Sunday night, poured myself a glass of vino, booked myself a holiday, didn't I? She's living her best life right now. And again, this holiday that I've booked, it is so rare for me to have time off. It's so rare for me to have 2 Sunday classes covered in a row, or even like at least one in like 6 months. It's so rare. Cover teachers are very like hard to come by. Everyone's teaching, everyone's got their own flow, their own vibe, which is amazing. We are truly blessed to have so many yoga teachers in this small town. But, you know, it is needed for me to take that time off every now and then, but I don't like leaving people hanging without their practice. And I've heard this a couple times, and I'm so grateful for it. I've heard it a couple times where people say to me like, oh, you know, I only want to come to class when it's you that's teaching. And that is so flattering. Honestly, like, what a compliment. I'm so grateful for that. But your gal needs a break sometimes. So just know, when you go to support these cover teachers and you still show up for them, you still show up for your practice, you still show up for this routine, this consistency that you have created, this opportunity that you have created for yourself, know that in doing that, you still show up for me. You're still supporting me. And that, again, is something I'm so grateful for, because it allows me to take that little step back. It allows me to dedicate a day where I can get my shit together. And then I show up for you even better. Like, again, we're only 3 days now into this week, but I just feel like I'm showing up so much better in class because, again, I've had that time. So thank you so much if you show up for a cover teacher. It does not go unnoticed, and I'm so pleased. So yeah, she has booked herself a little holiday, and I've spoken about this a few times. I was really trying to book myself a weekend to Prague, but there were many things that weren't aligning. It was feeling like too much of a rush. It was ending up getting more and more expensive. So I had a little sit down on Sunday evening. I was like, what else can I do? Where else do I want to go? And then suddenly Brighton popped into my head. I've wanted to do a weekend in Brighton. Again, for so long, it has been on my list. So found myself a cute Airbnb, requested to book this Airbnb, and I was like, please God. You know how an Airbnb, it takes 24 hours, or the host has 24 hours to respond. I tried to book an Airbnb for this weekend in London, hence why I drove in and out. I tried to book an Airbnb for London twice, And both times that neither of the hosts responded, so it ultimately was cancelled. So that's why I kind of gave up with trying to stay in London and just decided to drive in and drive out. Again, that worked so much better because there were no trains. It was rail replacement buses. So how else was I going to get into London, you know? And when it came to booking this Airbnb in Brighton, I was like, okay, please let this be third time lucky. Please, please, please. Booked it, started messaging a friend I know who lives down there. She's given me some recommendations and it's already starting to feel so much more aligned. She's given me a tattoo artist. I messaged that tattoo artist, seeing if they can squeeze me in. They've been able to squeeze me in. And then Monday morning, I get that email saying your Airbnb is confirmed. And oh my God, the intake of breath I took in and then the sigh out of reassurance and then excitement. Oh, beautiful. So I'm so excited for my little trip. I'm so excited to frolic, to skip down the lanes. I think people keep telling me, people keep saying I must go down to the lanes. I don't know what that means, but I will be frolicking down the lanes. So yeah, she's excited to explore, to adventure, to meet some people. There's some yoga teachers down there I've been following for years. So I'm going to hopefully practice with them. It just feels like it's going to be another reset for me. Yeah, I feel like this weekend was like a little teaser of a reset. This next weekend is going to be even more beautiful. And yeah, I can't wait. Oh, so as I say, we just had like so many little breakthroughs this past week. And I want to come on to them more. I've been having a lot of thoughts about, again, do I want to be on the dating scene? What are my goals? What are my aims right here, right now? And one of the conversations I had at my friend's 30th is with this girl who is currently in a long distance relationship. And I think they've been together maybe like 2 years, maybe, can't really remember. But she's a stunning girl. And she said, even though I'm in this relationship, I know that I am my best self when I'm single. When I'm single is when I feel like the most confident, I'm the most sure of myself, I'm able to focus on work. The second I'm in a relationship, I feel like I lose that confidence, I lose that focus. And I resonated with that so hard because I think every time I've gone into some sort of dating scenario or even this past situationship or definitely my long-term relationship, I lose myself completely. And I had this thought the other day that in the entirety of my 8-year relationship, I wasn't living for myself. I was living for someone else. And it's almost like I never had to think about my own emotional awareness or my own emotional availability because, again, I was in a relationship. I didn't need to think about it. But actually, this is something that we perhaps need to consider all the while. You know, no matter what age or stage of life we're at, you constantly need to be having that awareness, I think. So my focus is now, okay, how do I hold on to this sense of self, this confidence, this freedom, even as I enter into a relationship of some sort? And I don't know what that looks like yet. I don't know how that happens yet. If anyone knows, feel free to tell me. But maybe it's the case that this is something you just have to figure it out. And I keep coming back to the idea that, again, I just don't think I'm done being single. I don't think I'm done having this sacred time to myself. So we're going to explore that a little bit more. And one thing I said to myself towards the end of last year, again, it was this realization that, you know, you think about your dream person, you think about, you know, the kind of job that they have, how they spend their time, their hobbies, their connection to their family. And yes, in some way, you do kind of create this almost list and you create this kind of perfect person in your head. And I was thinking of this person, and I think that does evolve day by day because, you know, your wants, your desires, they constantly evolve as well. And I was thinking about this person, I was like, hang on, am I actually at the level of this dream person yet? And to be quite honest, no, she's not. And that is okay. So once I realized that, I was like, okay, right, let's then work towards being at the level of my future person, of my dream person. Now, I think what happened as a result of that thought landing in my brain was this sudden pursuit into self-development, into self-growth, which, was transformative and continues to be transformative. But I think I applied a certain pressure or expectation upon myself in that moment, because it was, again, this pursuit of becoming someone else's dream girl, but this pursuit of reaching someone else's level who I don't even know yet. So we've swapped it around a little bit, and my intention now is to become my own dream girl. I've had a few glimpses of her in the past, I think. And again, it comes back to this time last year where I feel like I was at my happiest, my most content, and my most confident. I think I got a little peek at her then, and I'm slowly getting another little peek at her now. But I think that connection to her is just going to continue to build and build the more I, again, cherish this sacred time that I have been gifted with. Being single is actually such a blessing. And I've possibly mentioned this before, but sometimes when I think about, the idea of coming home from a long day teaching, and then, I don't know, coming home to like someone watching TV really loudly or just breathing really loudly, I'm like, oh no, thank you. And again, that's just how I know that I'm not ready for this next big thing. And that is okay. I'm not ready for it. So yes, our focus is on being our own dream girl first. And to be honest, that feels like quite a powerful thing to say. And I shared a little bit about this on TikTok as well. And it seems like lots of people are resonating with this idea. And then I think with this realization has then come the idea that I believe there is such a thing as healthy emotional unavailability. Now, I know that's potentially going to trigger a few people, so let me hold your hand as I say this, okay? And I'm going to give you 3 reasons why. I actually wrote these down. 3, maybe 4 reasons why, okay? I believe that there is such a thing as healthy emotional unavailability. The first reason is because it is literally rooted in self-awareness, right? Once you realize this within yourself, you know your emotional capacity, okay? And not only do you know it, you then own it as well. And that again is powerful. You're not shutting down, you're not pretending. And I think that's the mistake that many people make. And maybe again, it comes from not having that self-awareness. There's been some discussion, or I've seen it more often than not now, where you feel like you're constantly attracting these emotionally unavailable men. Maybe that's actually a call to question your own emotional unavailability yourself. And I know that's going to sound potentially quite harsh, because I don't know, maybe if you're listening to this and you feel like you are so ready, you're so willing to invite in that person, but for some reason it's just these emotional unavailable people coming your way. I don't know, maybe there's a part of you that's still somewhat emotionally unavailable yourself. And again, it just allows that space for this real emotional awareness that perhaps a lot of us don't have. And that's okay. Again, we can find that awareness. That is something you can build. That is something you can create within yourself. Yeah. And again, it's literally saying, I know where I'm at, and I'm not going to fake more than I can actually give right now. Again, that is the problem that a lot of us are having. It's this pretending. It's why so many of us are falling into these situationships, because I think it's just pretending. It's just fake dating in a way, really. And I think when you say to yourself, yes, right now I am emotionally unavailable, you're saying that as a boundary, not a wall. There's a difference. It's a boundary, not a wall. We sometimes think walls are meant to come down, to crumble, but no. And I think when you see that in a person, when they're saying like, oh, I'm not dating right now, or I'm not willing to commit any more than this, that is a boundary they have in place, okay? That's not a wall that you can try to bring down. That is a boundary that they have. Respect that boundary, okay? My second reason for emotional unavailability actually being a healthy thing once you realize it is because it's also about honesty, you know? Again, it doesn't mean that you are emotionally stunted, and actually for a bit of time I thought I kind of was. It's just that right now, you're prioritizing your own healing, your own space, your own clarity. And again, that's a healthy thing. That's something we advocate in all people. So why don't we advocate that for ourselves too? And my third reason is it's temporary. It's not permanent. By saying that right now you are emotionally unavailable doesn't mean that you're never going to get to a stage where you are ready to invite in the love that you know you are worthy of. When you can be really clear and upfront about your own limitations, that prevents harm for both parties, and it removes that guessing game that I think a lot of us again get stuck into. That's exactly what I fell into, and that is okay. We've moved through this now. And then it allows the other person to then make that informed decision about how or if they want to engage in some way, whether it's a very casual agreement, or whether they want to actually say, no, thank you, I want to find someone who is emotionally available. And that's okay. They have that choice. They have the right to do that. I think the final reason I want to give here is that it respects both parties. You know, you build that self-respect, and then you're respecting the other person. You're able to then say to the other person, like, I know you deserve someone who's all in. I deserve to not force it. You know, it works both ways. And that's actually a real level of compassion, maturity. And it's not this coldness, it's not this resistance that you feel like you have to push against or fight against. Actually, that is a real mature decision that this person is making. And I just think when this level of emotional unavailability is grounded in this clarity, in this communication, this care, it's actually quite empowering. It's so empowering. I had a really good conversation with another friend of mine who had also been through quite a big breakup and quite a traumatic breakup as well. And we've both said that actually in making this decision, or actually coming to this realization, it's this self-honoring choice, honoring where you're at and the journey you are on right now, and letting that take you where it needs to take you. It's a choice, not a fear-based escape. I think so often we link emotional unavailability and avoidancy. Actually, they are two separate things. And I do think I will make an episode on dismissive avoidancy. That is something I have had a great deal of experience with. And I know for a fact there's a lot of people going through it right now. So yeah, I might do another episode on this. But there's a difference between emotional unavailability and avoidancy. You can have both for sure, but just because you are emotionally unavailable does not mean you are avoidant. Just because you are avoidant does not always mean that you are emotionally unavailable. When the two have come together, that's when you need to avoid, okay? That's the situation to avoid. So yeah, I just feel so much better nowadays in just realizing where I'm at, honoring where I'm at, and then moving forwards with this conscious clarity. And in this, again, it just feels like one more step that I'm taking to becoming my own dream girl. And honestly, this actually excites me so much more. I'm so much more excited for the dream girl that I'm becoming. And it's so exciting, the idea that I don't know her fully yet. I've not met her fully yet. I've caught glimpses. I just find that so exciting. And I just want to continue with this excitement. I want to continue exploring this idea. Be your own goddamn dream girl. Reach for the things that you want. And if you need to take that step back, and actually say, you know what, right now, this isn't my focus. Dating isn't my focus. Then sure, it's so fine. You have the choice. And the other thing I want to, again, leave here as that reminder is to focus on the things that do matter, leave behind the things that just don't, okay? Even if you're in a really sticky situation right now where you're not sure what to do, just ask yourself, in a year's time, are you still going to be worrying about this one thing? Are you still going to be questioning whether or not you made the right decision? Probably not, okay? Take that pressure off yourself. What does matter is your own health, your own well-being, the family and friends that are there for you through and through. They are what matter. These little situations that, crop up every now and then, they don't matter. It's okay. Oh, stunning. All right, loves. So I actually need to wrap this up because I need to edit this and get this out in less than 24 hours. But have an amazing rest of your day. I perhaps will be recording the next week from Brighton. We'll see, whilst I'm on my jolly jaunt and frolic down the lanes, but I shall keep you posted. All right, have a gorgeous day. I shall see you next week with another episode from me. All right, goodbye, honeys. Love ya. Mwah.